Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, today is another guest choice review. We're doing Spider-Man 2 with Christian Frates. How you doing?
Doing great. And I have the first Blu-ray release of the film right here.
Oh, nice. So, you're a content creator, so where are you and what social media is you're on?
I'm from Massachusetts, and I do voice acting and showcase obscure media. And I also have Twitter, Facebook, Discord, and Instagram. And I sometimes create my own voices. I voiced in a cartoon right here called The Rover Guys, made by DJ Barry. I was being,
Nice.
He talks like this.
Nice. Alrighty. Do you also have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's under my name.
Alrighty. So I put his YouTube channel and his Twitter in the description, folks. So if you want to sub to him or sub to Christian Frates or Freddy, sorry. And alrighty, let's get on with the review. So Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Or what made you choose this film?
Well, I consider it one of the best superhero films of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not to mention that I haven't met anyone who disliked that masterpiece.
That is actually, I can actually honestly say the same. I haven't met anyone that didn't like it either. Hello, Prismatics. Good to see you. And from you and Jason. Hey, Jason, how you doing? Vanja, good to see you. So before we get started, folks, fully into the stream, make sure that you smash the like button, share the stream out, be part of the chat. Always like hearing from people in the chat. And if you want to be on a guest choice review, you get to choose the movie, the time, and the date. All that I get to choose is the venue, which is my channel, and make sure that it's a movie that you enjoy, that both people will most likely enjoy. And yeah, it will make a discussion out of it. So this movie starts with with a more comic book title sequence, which I thought was
based on concept art from the first movie.
Yep. And one of the things I do like is how they transitioned from a drawing of Mary Jane into or Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane into the actual picture of Mary Jane. One of the cleanest transitions I've actually seen, because honestly, I thought that was really her, not just a photo.
Yeah, that was impressive editing.
Mm-hmm. So the scene with Mr. Aziz doing the pizza run, and Peter doing the pizza run. I watched the extended edition for the first time last night, the 2.1 as they call it. They actually do a little bit more of the rushing with the scooter and whatnot, and until he just gets up and starts running and then swinging, stopping a crime and whatnot.
Parker, you're late. You're always late. Go.
Yeah, and they he actually gets there on time. The only thing that he doesn't do the only thing that makes him late is getting changed in the closet and then picking up the damn stick. And it's like,
I like how he was delivering the pizzas.
Yeah.
Whoa, he stole that guy's pizzas.
Yeah. That was that's a wonderful thing that Sam Raimi actually did in this film. You're in New York, so chances are somebody's going to see you or see him doing something. And that was a really good way of him actually doing that with the storytelling. Hey, Junebug, good to see you. So what was your favorite, or out of all the scenes where somebody sees him, like the kids seeing him do the huge backflip or the stealing the pizza or other scenes, what was your favorite, or which of those scenes were your favorite ones where somebody saw him running or doing something amazing?
I like how the
That
random guy tries to steal the pizza only for Spidey to get the slice with his webs.
yeah, and it's like, well, he does drop it on a high rise, and a look over, it's like, you're not getting that
Yeah.
pizza.
And here comes
Unfortunately,
the
he gets
ever popular and here comes the ever popular pizza time.
yeah. So he gets in there, and she looks at the clock. You're late. I ain't paying for those, and I'm like, wow, that is just
Or as Debbie
not
Dunker
cool.
say, "You're despicable if you're so late for a free pizza."
Yeah. And so he gets fired. And I love how he tries back and forth a job, and you think that Aziz might give him one more shot, but instead, just rips. It's like, oh damn.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good misdirection by Sam Raimi. You think that he might be sympathetic and give him the shot, but then he just pulls the sticker off of the helmet, and it's like, oh, that sucks. So he's fired. And
I
then you
remember
get to
I remember first seeing Spider-Man 2 in theaters back in the year 2004.
yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Then you get or then you actually get him being fired at the Daily Bugle, and it's like, you're fired. Hello, Parker. Hello, you're fired. What?
Hello,
Why?
Parker, you're fired.
That's actually a pretty good impression.
Thanks.
Men playing, or two old geezers playing chess, squirrels in a tree. What the hell? Or dog catching a frisbee. It's like,
Yeah.
and then he's like, I can't get any more shots of Spider-Man. You turned the whole city against him. A fact I'm very proud of. I just love, or J.K. Simmons is the perfect J. Jonah Jameson. I mean, literally the perfect J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, he's the best part of those movies.
Yeah. I mean, when you got a small character, well, not so much a small character, but a great actor that's playing a character that's not a hero or a villain, but one of these side characters, and he's pretty much one of the neutrals, and he's upstaging the Tobey Maguire's character or Spider-Man. It's like, damn. I mean, honestly, I think that Tobey Maguire is the better Spider-Man out of all three of them. But he also is, because he plays the awkwardness very well. He plays the nerdiness very well when it comes to this.
But in the video games, when he voiced him in those games, he was more quippy, like in the comics.
Oh yeah. And Ruben Thomas, good to see you. So everybody, make sure that you share the stream out and smash the like button. And so Robbie, the guy that sadly that actor's passed away. I think he passed away 2 years ago.
I heard Spider-Man was here.
Yeah, and but he's like, he finally caves in. Peter caves in, and he's like, I'll give you 150 for it, 300. That's outrageous. Done. Here's your first page one. Spider-Man stalks the city. I told you he's not a menace. Just love Robbie. He's like, I told you he's not a menace. The way that they do the camera shot of him saying that, where he's just kind of imposing, or really imposing, and gets close and is like, I told you he's not a menace. It's just that's actually perfect cinematography right there, because it perfectly sells the shot and the line. And hey, Cassie, good to see you. Good, Cult Classic Cage, one of the awesome ones in the community, folks. And
Bill Pope was the director of photography.
Bill Pope gets credit for that, because he had great angle. That's one of the things about this movie. They do great cinematography angles. The cinematography in this film is pretty freaking top notch, especially when you're swinging through New York City and you are doing crazy angles following Spider-Man's journey as he's web swinging.
Yeah, and the visual effects were a significant improvement over the first one.
Yeah, he didn't, or one of the things that, or Spider-Man did look in the first one, he actually did look a little bit more doughy. His body looked less real in certain scenes, but in this one, it actually does have a slight more improvement.
Yeah,
And
the
yes,
film won Best Visual Effects at the Oscars.
yeah, and yes, you're awesome too, Vanja. But yeah. So I can't remember which is the next scene.
Peter Parker goes to his Aunt May's house.
Right, for his birthday.
Yeah.
And we see Harry, who James Franco has his hair out a little more, and he's still, or from the first movie, he thinks that Spider-Man killed his father. And it doesn't come out until the third movie when the father of Bill Paxton, what's his real name, or what's Paxton's first name? The one who plays.
In the editor's cut, it was different.
Yeah. Who played Bernard in the film? I can't remember Bill Paxton's father's name.
His name is John.
Yeah, John Paxton. So yeah, he plays a great small role. I mean, he's like, I'm off for tonight, sir. Fine. Your father only obsessed over his work. Good night, Bernard. But he plays a great role in the third one where he actually tells him the truth and whatnot. And
yeah, but
it's
implied to be a hallucination.
Interesting.
Yeah, because the editor's cut shows Harry making the decision for himself.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to watch the editor's cut again. I think I only saw it once, but I do like John Paxton's performance in that movie because it does show him, or it's like, I have seen everything in this house, and it does really come across because he is the butler. He would know the secrets, you know. So you see that, or I like in the added sequence, or a little bit of a further scene in this. They extended this movie is the extended scene is 8 minutes longer. I like the original Spider-Man best, but Spider-Man 2 is the better film overall objectively. That is true. Actually, I'm right there with you, Cassie. Because Green Goblin or Willem Dafoe he plays one hell of a villain. And No Way Home, he carried that film. Just being honest, folks. But yeah, Spider-Man 2 is definitely the better objective film. Also, it came out during a time when it was, or the war, or the country was in flux when Spider-Man 1 came out, because they had a teaser trailer that was immediately pulled before it could even get released because
of 9/11.
Yep, the first teaser trailer had a bank robbery, and the guys get away in a chopper, but they get caught in a web that's between the two towers. Yeah, and unfortunately, that's like, we can't use that now that the towers fell, and it's like, I still would have done it because it would have shown a little bit respect for the memory of 9/11, or respect for the memory of the towers.
But on the positive side of the actual movie, you see Spider-Man's lens, and they have the towers in his reflection.
Yep, and that is that is another good thing too. So back to Spider-Man 2, you get a couple more things where he's like, be honest with me. If you knew who he was, would you tell me? And I like how Peter doesn't answer that, because he honestly can't. He can't answer that because it would be outing himself. And it's like, God dang it, what do you do in this sort of situation?
And he didn't want his friendship with Harry to end.
No, because to be honest, it's the one thing that kept him from tipping over the edge completely. But now figuring out who he was, it's like, this is bigger, and even at the end of the movie, it would have been better if or I like how they leave it open, but still after the whole incident with Otto Octavius, it should have had him come back and try to explain it to him. Would have worked better, but they didn't, so they set it up for the third one where he was New Goblin. Damn, that is crazy and unfortunate that they didn't go through with that. Yeah, because you have to literally look on, or I think it might still be on YouTube, the original teaser for Spider-Man 1. But if not, you would have to do some pretty deep diving to find it.
Actually, it was actually a deleted scene for the first movie.
Yeah. But then they were going to use it for, because the towers no longer are there. And Neozoic, good to see you. Always a pleasure. So, getting on, we then learn that May is behind on her bills. Alex versus Evil, good to see you. And Rosemary Harris, she's still alive, by the way, folks.
That's impressive.
Yeah, she's 95 now, or going to be like 96. She's going to be 96 this year.
Well, she's been exercising, optimistic. That's the reason to longevity. Also, drinking plenty of water.
Yeah. Right, Kitty. Good to see you. Recently got the trilogy in 4K. Yep. Now, Rosemary Harris is a stage actor, so she knows her craft very well. And one of the things I really do like in this film is a later scene where Peter confesses, not that he's Spider-Man, but confesses the truth behind the circumstances of Uncle Ben's death. And she doesn't know how to handle it, so she just leaves the room. But before we get to that, we see that he has a nice little talk with MJ outside after after Aunt May gives him a 20. And you see how she is really, or she's like, it's not much, but you take this damn money. It's like she's behind, yet she's still willing to give that to her nephew, which is a nice piece. Let's hope she makes it to be 100. She's kind enough that she should, but if her time comes, her time comes. Or like that old lady put it, to live to 150, eat chocolate, drink water, and take a walk.
Kirsten Dunst was good as Mary Jane Watson.
Yes, Kirsten Dunst. Folks, Kirsten Dunst, I just want to say, she, for that period of time, for many teenagers, after watching Spider-Man 1 and the upside down kiss in the rain, she wasn't wearing a bra. I'm just saying. She won the wet t-shirt contest for that year and the year next. Let's just say that. Because apparently she forgot to wear the bra. And she's for that day and age for kids at that time, 2001, I think, was Spider-Man 1 when it came out. So yeah, it was because, or 2002. So I would have been 17, but most of the 13-year-olds that were watching that movie were like, yeah.
I was 5 and I watched it on VHS.
Yeah. What is your opinions on Doc Ock getting the Mr. Freeze treatment where they made him more tragedy, not evil villain? That's actually Sam Raimi's design. Say what?
That's a great interpretation.
It is, because he does redeem himself at the end, where in the first movie you had an irredeemable villain because he was beyond crazy. He couldn't go back to it, or he couldn't go back to normal. Where in this one, he actually overpowered the force that was controlling him, which was an AI that was split into 4, essentially, because each one of those arms had minds of their own. And Yeah, she forgot to wear the bra. Kirsten Dunst knew what she was doing. I think she did. Yeah.
The
But
power
yeah,
of the sun in the palm of my hand.
yeah. But yeah, honestly, I do like. Uh, God, what's the actor's name that played him? I just
Alfred
blanked up.
Molina.
Yeah, Molina. Molina has played, or he is also another gifted actor because one, he plays, or he has range from good guys to bad guys to in the middle kind of guys. One of the movies one of the first movies I saw that he was in was Species with about aliens and whatnot. And sadly, he was one of the idiots that ends up getting skewered because he had sex with the alien and got her pregnant. Um, the next one that I saw him in was Da Vinci Code, where he played a bishop that was not on the up and up. And then he played Doc Ock. That was in that order. That's the order of movies that I've seen him in.
He also reprised his role in the Spider-Man 2 video game, which also had Tobey
Yep.
Maguire and Kirsten Dunst reprising their voice roles, with Bruce Campbell as the narrator.
Yep. Never liked Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane, but then again, they are very few Mary Jane iterations of Mary Jane that are good. The original Mary Jane comic was good, as was the Ultimate Spider-Man Mary Jane. That's interesting. I think even yep, to each their own. I think even Sam Raimi during that scene, his Stanley got a little excited.
Excelsior!
Yep. He was amazing as Doc Ock. He is evil, but also tragic. Hard balance. Yeah, it is. And he did that balance like it was pure easy, but it's not easy.
I will not die. A monster.
Yeah. And so the next scene, she talks with him outside, and then she's like, I met somebody, a guy, and whatnot. And then he goes home, and we get introduced to Rent, Mr.
Ditkovich.
Who the first movie I seen him in was Air Force One, where he played the Russian pilot to take over the plane. It was amazing. Or I need to watch more Spectacular Spidey. That name's out. Yeah.
And did you know that Mr. Ditkovich is named after Steve Ditko, co-creator of Spider-Man?
Yep.
And
I caught that too.
Mr. Ditkovich has a daughter named Ursula.
Yeah. And it's like, hi, what's hi? Can I spend it? You're late for rent again. And he plays Russian very well, this actor, because I believe he actually is Russian in real life. And he's like, if promises were crackers, my daughter would be fat. And then you see the girl who I believe she's actually a model, I think, or started out as, and then became an actor full time. But yeah. Neozok has it. But yeah, that whole thing is like, and don't try to sneak past me. I have ears like a cat and eyes like a rodent. I'm like, yeah, you look like a rodent. What were your thoughts on Mr. Ditkovich?
Well, he's a good scene stealer.
Yeah. And
I bet his favorite musical is Rent.
Yeah. Orange and Christian. The reason why I said Mr. Freeze treatment was because later version they borrowed the Spider-Man 2 version, like the PS4 game, kind like comic Freezeboro from BTAS.
And funny enough,
oh, Batman the Animated Series, yeah.
I'm just saying, funny enough, Alfred Molina also voiced Mr. Freeze in the Harley Quinn cartoon, which I'm not seeing because I consider it a Lobo knockoff.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing as well, Neozok. But also he is tragic, or the other connection too is also valid. So the guy who plays J. Jonah Jameson the 3rd, or the 2nd, whichever one it is.
My son, the astronaut.
Yeah, the astronaut kid. He would later become one of the best vampire interpretations I have ever seen in television, not movies, but television. He plays Elijah from the Vampire Diaries and the originals, and I gotta say, he played a great vampire, and he does an American accent pretty well too. But yeah, we get our what was the next scene after this?
The lab.
Yep, the lab where he gets to meet Otto, or
And
he
his
also
wife, Rosalie.
there was a scene with Kurt Connors first. There was a scene with Kurt Connors where he was trying to head to class and he missed it. The actor playing Kurt Connors is also a good teacher, or is also a good actor.
Dylan
This
Baker.
or yep, the cast
also
for
in Requiem for a Dream.
yeah. One moment.
And ironically enough, in Requiem for a Dream, he played an amputator, kind of like how Kurt Connors got his part amputated.
Mm-hmm. Dylan Baker, yep. Dylan Baker also is a guy that has roles that are very ranged, because he plays bad guy and good guy in a lot of different things. And Bill Nunn, who played Rob, Robbie, or he died in 2016, sadly. So we then get to the scene with Otto Octavius, and Molina sells it as he might actually be a friggin' scientist, because the lines roll off his tongue like poetry in a way, to be completely truth. And that's kind of funny because that's one of the ways that he got his girl or his wife was poetry.
Brilliant but lazy.
Yeah. Fun fact, according to Behind the Scene, the opening sequence features artwork which was done by legendary Alex Ross. Yes, that Alex Ross. Yeah. We our concept art from the first one. So he's then at the laundromat reading poetry because he wants to get Mary Jane. The actress who played his wife, Donna Murphy. Yeah.
She was also Mother Gothel from Tangled.
Yeah. She's also another good actor or actress. I mean, when I say that they did a lot of good actors and actresses, folks, they did a lot of good actors and actresses. The woman who's like, I'm not paying for those, that was Emily Deschanel, who has a sister, Zoe.
Yep.
Who they both kind of look alike. But he's then doing in the laundry room, pulls out his spider suit. He looks up, sees that there's a couple people, and just puts it down, holding it down. And his clothes are all bleached into, or the suit bleached his clothes, which is pretty funny. So then we get to the first big scene where it's the demonstration for the fusion reactor.
Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts.
That was a good sign, or a good line. And he explains the dynamic of the arms that can control the fusion.
Don't forget his inhibitor chip.
The inhibitor chip, which keeps the AI from controlling him.
Yeah.
Now, back then, folks, the arms were not all digital. They were actually practical. They were practical elements, and they had to do digital for No Way Home later on. And I'm like, honestly, I think that the practical was a lot better because they're actually on the screen. And it's like, these are something that you can actually work with as the arms are here talking to you, or you're talking to them. It's having to do that in where they're not there. eye line can be off, and or
Yeah,
you could not even be or you're looking in the wrong direction when the thing's trying to talk to you here. You're like, okay, yeah, but whatever. And it's like, it's over there, dude. But yeah, I really like how they actually did the arms practical.
and
Daniel Day
Alfred
Kim.
Molina gave all the arms names.
Mm-hmm. Did he?
Yeah, feminine names.
Nice. Daniel Day Kim, who would play Chin Ho Kelly in Hawaii Five-0, also played the assistant in this movie. And I believe that's actually got him to do the kickoff for Hawaii Five-0 later on. So, as we all know, the scene goes awry. There's a containment breach and a spike. And he tries to, or you also see the kind of petulance with Harry Osborn. He's like, I'm in control. It's like, shut the rib up, buddy. And Spider-Man saves him, and he's like, this doesn't change anything. It's like, dude, shut up.
Yeah, and as it got worse, Rosalie gets killed by broken glass, broken glass, broken glass,
Yeah.
broken glass.
That, yeah. Where, to be completely honest, folks, because glass is not magnetic, that scene does not make sense, though. Or, yes, there was a gravitational pull or a magnetic pull, not gravitational, but magnetic because everything metal was going in. Yes, the glass broke inward, but people actually did tests causing a magnetic force with metal frames. It wouldn't have hit her. It would have sliced up her legs, but it wouldn't have gone straight at her throat. But it is a tragic element too that gives him a sorrowful role.
Yeah.
Kamen Rider, good to see you. And we then see Spider-Man having to shut down the thing because Otto gets shocked, which fries the inhibitor chip. And so the aftermath is Harry's like, I'm ruined.
I have nothing left. Except
for Spider-Man. Yeah. He saved your life, sir. Take it easy, Riot Kitty. Thank you for stopping in and leaving a like. He humiliated me by touching me. And it's like, yeah, the press is on their way, dude. You gotta bounce. So we then see them at the hospital where they're about to remove the arms. Orange hat and Christian.
Would you say that
Alfred Molina's performance
Doc Ock is in the same level of Heath Ledger's Joker, Jackie Earle Haley's Rorschach, and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine? Yeah.
Yes.
Alfred Molina is legendary as Doc Ock.
Yeah, he is Doc Ock. I don't see other actors playing him. I mean, voice actors, sure.
Voice actors like Ephraim Zimbalist, who voiced him in the Neversoft game.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but as a physical actor for Doc Ock, yeah, Alfred Molina is definitely definitive Doc Ock. So
yeah, and with him, with the tentacles getting all the surgeons, there was a clear allusion to the Evil Dead franchise.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that whole scene was pure Sam Raimi. I mean, these things are just pure monstrously killing everybody. I mean, but one of the parts of that scene was when they have the saw and he's going down on the guy who's standing right here, his reflection, you see the arm coming up like a snake, and then it's like, boom, it just goes right at you like that. And I'm like, that's awesome. That works. These are like the most dangerous things. And he sold it because they all just wake up and Doc Ock's asleep at this point. He's completely out cold. Yet these things are moving his body, but also there's also the actress that was being dragged away. Her freaking nails are carving up the floor. I mean, this is pure horror movie, folks, of Sam Raimi's mind. And he does it very well. Sam Raimi does horror very well. And even though Multiverse of Madness sucked, there was one scene in there that was pure gold. And that was when she's banging on the door and then suddenly she just slides in or she's off screen and just slides right in with her glowing eyes. I'm like, yeah, that works. So yeah, I'll admit that Multiverse of Madness was not the best job, but did have good scenes. Sucked as a movie, but did have Sam Raimi moments that were good. But back to this, the classic movie trope where the monster realizes he is a monster and he's lost everything, and he just screams no, and all the arms are just pointing up like this and kind of just screeching out too. And I'm like, that's a nice touch. That's actually a tribute to the older movies and whatnot. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Didn't want to blow anybody's eardrums out. But yeah. And then Doc Ock's contemplating suicide, and then he starts hearing a talking in his head, and then he realizes, oh crap, the inhibitor chip is gone. And I like the look in his eyes, or the sunken look in his eyes, like bags under his eyes, but not really. This is kind of like a shift between that Spider or that Doc Ock, an innocent Doc Ock, and then when he turns around, his eyes are slightly sunken a little more when he's like, I couldn't have miscalculated. It was working, wasn't it? And then he's like, yes. You just see that shift work. So what was your thoughts of Doc Ock talking to his tentacles in that scene and suddenly turning basically under the influence of the tentacles?
Well, it was amazing and effective at the same time. And I like how the tentacles are all practical, kind of like how Goro in Mortal Kombat 95 is practical.
Yeah. That was also a nice or a good movie for what it was at the time, or for how far they could go at the time, rather.
Yeah, and it's still better than MK 2021.
There's only two good scenes in MK 2021, folks, and that's both of them are the Scorpion versus Sub-Zero fights. Just gonna say it. But back to this. Not Mary Jane. Actually, I think it wasn't, or this was during a scene where he had to go to the theater, and he's finally gonna get there, and then freaking something happens, and he gets caught by the kids doing a huge backflip. How'd you do that? Hard work, working out. Eat your vegetables.
Green vegetables.
Yeah, eat your green vegetables. That's what my mom's always saying. I just never actually believed it. I mean, that's what I'm saying, folks. In New York City, if you're a superhero in New York City, you're going to get caught by somebody. You're going to get caught. But doing something by somebody. There are billions of eyes in New York City. One of them's going to see you do something.
Yeah, and this leads into Bruce Campbell's cameo.
Yep.
He plays a snooty usher.
That usher is absolute, or the extended scene makes him even more of a dick. I heard that Sam Raimi originally was going to include Kingpin from Daredevil, Spider-Man comics into Spider-Man 2, but didn't because he was planned to be used in 2003's Daredevil movie, and because Yep. And it's like, how did they split the Spider-Man rights between Fox and Sony? And no, this wasn't, or Sony didn't have them at the time. That was between Columbia and Fox.
Yeah, funny enough, the Daredevil movie was initially pitched to Sony.
Mm-hmm. And I believe they actually lost the bid to Fox, if I remember correctly.
Hey,
But
I figured out that Alfred Molina referred to his Doc Ock tentacles as Larry, Harry, Moe, and Flo.
well, there you go. The Four Stooges instead of the Three Stooges. Larry, Harry, Moe, and Flo. Well, two of the three Stooges, and because they didn't have Curly, but yeah. Where was I?
And
Oh, right.
Peter sees a street musician performing the "Here Comes the Spider-Man"
Oh,
song.
the
Violinist.
violinist. I love how he's watching her, and then she starts singing, and he's like, he just kind of looks like, I love having a fan. It's interesting, but I really do like that. And then she comes back later. Where are you, Spider-Man? With that, but the usher, she gets let down because he promised he would be there, except he had to save the day because of assholes that flattened his bike. And then you get Bruce Campbell. Oh, shoelace. Might want to. Can I help you? I'm sorry, sir, but you can't go in because once the play has started, the doors remain closed. And then he's like, "Come on, just give me a shh." And then he points to the other one. Please be quiet while the play is in progress. And
quite groovy at this point. That's my impression.
I mean, Bruce, the Chin, as everybody else calls him, the Chin, Bruce Campbell. Folks, he is the actor that just doesn't give a shit. Bruce Campbell has played in so many great roles. The cameo roles in each of the Spider-Man movies that he played in, except for The Amazing Spider-Man or the other Spider-Man movie, or
Only
Spider-Man
the
No Way
Raimi
Home.
Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, just the Raimis. He was great in Burn Notice, the show with the CIA guy that got burned. He also played in Congo as one of the guys that gets killed.
He voiced Himcules from My Life as a Teenage Robot.
Yep. And he actually narrates all the Spider-Man games that are based on Sam Raimi's
movies.
Crimson Chin.
He voiced in the Amazing Spider-Man video game based on the first Mark Webb movie.
Nice. Also the whatchamacallit. Also, everybody knows him from Evil Dead. I mean, one of the best scenes that he did was laughing with the insane house, where the house just starts laughing, and then he just starts laughing, and everybody's freaking laughing, and it's just that he was also voiced Ash in the games for the Evil Dead games on the PlayStation 2, which was freaking hilarious because they copied that scene down to everything laughing, including the deer head laughing at him. Bruce was actually going to be in the planned Spider-Man 4 as Mysterio. No way.
There was even concept art.
Yeah, I do remember because they had Mysterio all make-upped and bald. I remember the Spider-Man 3 figure that they had for that, or for the game as well, where
in the
he
Spider-Man
was...
2 video game, Mysterio was voiced by James Arnold Taylor, whom you probably know as the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi or Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, that's true. So then he gets out because Peter walks out, but he turns around in the extended edition and you see him just going, freaking Bruce is just such an asshole in that scene. So he gets back and he has to call up Mary Jane and explain to her, but unfortunately his time runs out on the phone. Nothing can go right for Peter in this film. This is basically Peter Parker's bid for his imbalance of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. He hasn't found that balance yet. And they tell it very good because now he's swinging through and then he suddenly is not able to shoot webs. And it's like, okay, that happened. And then he starts realizing he has a little bit of vertigo. Geek Detective, good to see you. Austinator, good to see you. Geek Detective. I think Sam Raimi had a unique approach to the first two Spider-Man films, and the writing and acting in Spider-Man 2 is what caused many fans to put it higher than the first in ranking. Yeah. So, what did you think about Spider-Man's powers going on the Frates in this film?
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, there's a bit of a plot hole because we don't know why his powers stop all of a sudden.
The way that apparently the way that they told it was that he was having a crisis of identity. He wasn't able to balance it out, which caused him to have which caused his body to be imbalanced.
Oh, that makes sense.
Orange and Christian, what is your opinions on the fan theory that Thomas Jane's Punisher takes place in the same universe as Raimi's Spider-Man because of the uncredited cameo of Thomas Jane where MJ runs back to Peter? He was in that scene?
Thomas Jane. That was a different guy.
I was about to say that, or if that was Thomas Jane, I didn't notice him. And believe me, Thomas Jane is one of my favorite actors, so I would have noticed his ass.
Just saying that wasn't him. It was just a different guy.
Although that would have been cool if they were, because that would have been the Punisher that I would have actually liked to see take on Spider-Man. Would be Thomas Jane's Punisher. But yeah. So then we get what's the next scene? I just watched this movie last night, folks. But then again, I was tired when I watched it. So
the bank?
Oh, yep, the bank. That's right. Him and MJ, or not MJ, but Aunt May are at the bank, and she's trying to refinance the house. Well, it doesn't exactly work, and I love how she's like, well, at least we still get the toaster. That's what the deposit of $300 or more. It's like, fucking really? You did that to an old lady, man. That banker was such a dick. Just saying. But, so then we go over to Doc Ock ripping out the back of his shirt. So the tentacles. I'm like, how does somebody with those big ass arms walk into that bank unnoticed? I'm sorry. I'm just not believing that they were hidden under a trench coat. Doesn't make sense. But I guess it works. So he goes after the vault, and frickin' Peter's caught running away. And Aunt May is like, don't leave me. Oh, that nephew of yours is so heroic. And we do get a little bit more of a quip between Spider-Man and Doc Ock, where he's throwing the bags of coins at him. He's like, here's your change.
Here's your change.
Yep. And he then starts having his second Fritz with his webs, and he gets caught. He's like, getting on my nerves. Or that happens a lot, or something like that. And then he starts getting his head crushed, but he gets his webbing back at the last minute or last second. So I do like the first fight because it's high stakes when Aunt May gets taken. And I'm like, oh crap. These or he just unwittingly took Spider-Man's aunt. So how are we gonna play this? But I also like how Rosemary, the actress, played the scene where she basically also fights back. And she smacks him in the face with her umbrella as she's also hanging on for dear life by Angel's hand when she realizes that she could have let go and just stayed alive still. But I would have liked to see a little bit more of a less of a cool head in Peter in that scene. I think that it would have been a little bit better to see it, but also I think it still it still is a good scene. However, this is his aunt, and it's like, would you be able to keep your cool in this sort of situation when it's your aunt's life on the line, you know? I mean, he held his cool a little too much, in my opinion. What did you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Mm-hmm. And what did you, or I like how the younger women, when he starts swinging away after saving May, the younger women are like just eye candy for the scene. It's he's now at the Bugle or the Bugle and Daily Bugle, where it's the scene. I heard Spider-Man was there.
Where were you? Photographing squirrels? You're fired.
Fire. Yep.
Right, you're unfired. I need you to come here.
Yeah, because of the planetarium party. Chief, the planetarium party. Betty or Brant, Miss Brant is always saving his ass in this movie. And it's cool because in the comics, he actually dates Betty Brant for a while. Now, this is back when Elizabeth Bank was a great actress. I mean,
before she went political.
Yeah, before she went political and kind of lost her mind and played victim for the last decade and a half here. But yeah, I do like how she's like, Chief, the planetarium park. Oh, right, you're on fire. I need you. What do you know about high society, Parker? You know what? Don't answer that.
My society photographer got hit by head by a polo ball. You're all I got. Big party for an American hero. My son, the astronaut.
Could you pay me in advance? That has become such a clip, folks. That has become such a meme, GIF, clip, everything. I want to get that clip for my channel too. When somebody says something absolutely stupid in my comment section, I would just be like, I would just serious? Pay in advance for what? It's 9 o'clock. I got the planetarium. There's the door. I mean, he's then or the planetarium where friggin' everybody is there, including Harry, and Harry's just getting drunk and he's just pissed off and ruined. Not to mention you and your bug. And I can't believe you didn't turn this guy over because he's your bread and butter. And he just bitch slaps Peter, and I'm like, oh my God, man, that has got to be the most embarrassing thing. Because everybody's looking at him at this point. Everybody's looking at Spider-Man or Peter as he's getting bitch slapped. He was just yelled at by Mary Jane. So I also like after she walks away, he tries grabbing a drink off of a tray that's going, or an usher, and it's empty. So it's just not going well for Peter. My apologies. Is this question too early? What is your opinions on Spider-Man 2.1? I like the additional 8 minutes. It provides additional context.
Me too.
Yeah. Most extended editions, if the extended scenes provide better context, I believe that they make the movie better. However, if you're going to put extra scenes in, you better make sure the effects are fully completed, because they did that with No Way Home's extended edition. Those scenes weren't completed. The crazy interview with Betty Brant interviewing everybody, you could see that it was an unfinished, grainy green screen background. Now, whether or not that was intentional, I don't know. But if it wasn't intentional, they done screwed up. But then again, it's Marvel Studios and Sony. Can you really blame them if it's MCU? I mean, this was back, or these movies that we're or the movie that we're discussing now was back before the MCU was even a thing. And honestly, these movies are better than the MCU. $1 billion movie, and they couldn't finish the extended scenes. Shake my ass. Yeah, right? And so after that, the final nail in the or the final hammer stroke of the stake in the heart for Peter is J. Jonah Jameson's son just announced that Mary Jane's going to marry him, and I'm like, well, fuck. How low can you smash Peter before he's just done, you know? What were your thoughts on everything just going wrong in that moment or in that entire scene? Which do you think was the most hurtful? The marriage announcement, the getting slapped in public, or getting shot down by Mary Jane?
I feel like the marriage announcement.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, okay, I got shot down with Mary Jane, but then my best buddy is coming up and slapped me in the face in front of everybody of high society. And then, to top it all off, the girl that I love is about to marry some rich guy who happens to be the son of my boss. And it's like, Parker, what are you standing there for? Get some pictures. And it's like, are you freaking kidding me, man? So, indeed, as Cassie said, the MCU movies feel like filler rather than complete film. The MCU phase 1 is by far the best phase of all of MCU. The Infinity Saga is good, don't get me wrong, with the exception of Endgame and
Captain Marvel.
Movies were not good. Captain Marvel, I couldn't like because they completely changed Nick Fury's character and they made him lose his eye by a freaking flirkin. But but everything up to Infinity War, top notch. What was next? That's right, him swinging again, he was swinging again, and he falls down again, and he has this introspective conversation with Uncle Ben again.
Played by the late and great Cliff Robertson.
Yep. I mean, Cliff Robertson, if anybody else would, or if there was an actor that looked a lot like Johnny Cash, Cliff Robertson was him. Or what looked like an older Johnny Cash. I mean, it's like, you could have had him be the stunt double for Johnny Cash. I mean, I'm dead serious.
Yeah. With great power comes great responsibility.
And he tries to bring Peter back onto the Spider-Man train, but he tells him, no, man, I want a life of my own, and I'm Spider-Man no more. And he throws the suit out. And I like how when they're fading away from that suit or fading away out of that scene, the last thing to disappear was the eye of his mask. And it's like, yeah.
And that was homaged in the video game Sly 2 Band of Thieves. At the end, Murray quits being the Murray, and he puts his gloves and mask by the trash can, and you see that similar reflection.
Mm-hmm. And it's also a direct callback to the comics where he also just quit being Spider-Man because of, I think it was a different tragedy, but I actually think it was because of the death of Gwen Stacy, if I'm remembering comics correctly. Because I used to read comics back in the day, kids or folks.
Well, I just don't read ones like Cyberfrog.
Yeah, isn't that Ethan Van Sciver's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing more Cyberfrog comics.
Nice. Indeed. But yeah, so the next main scene is the trash is delivered to J. Jonah Jameson. And it's like, got a guy, we did skip a scene where they're trying to think of a name for Dr. Octopus. And I love how he's like, guy named Otto Octavius winds up with 8 limbs. What are the odds? Hoffman's already there. Hoffman! Yes? What are we going to call this guy? Dr. Octopus. That's crap. Science Squid. Yeah, Dr. Octopus. That's crap. Science Squid. Crap. Doctor Strange. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
But it's taken.
Wait, I've got it. Doc Ock.
Yeah, Dr. Octopus. Doc Ock. New villain in town. I mean, that was just,
And that
it's
implies
like,
that Doctor Strange is in the Raimi verse.
yeah, it does imply, or yeah, it implies that he exists in that world, but we don't know where he exists, you know?
Yeah.
Um, honestly, I do believe that Benedict Cumberbatch does play a very good Doctor Strange, in my opinion. He really does play a good Doctor Strange. The Sam Raimi Doctor Strange, though, it's like, dude, unfortunately, you lost your mind and you decided to get or cave into all that vanity. um, but yeah, I did want to cover because that was actually one of my favorite parts in the film. Like, Hoffman, yes, he just does a double take. He's like, what the fuck? And also, Hoffman is Sam Raimi's brother. For those of you who do not know,
Ted Raimi.
Ted Raimi, I believe his name. So kind of looks like DJ Qualls. But so back to the garbage man. He's like, "What do you want?" Well, I was picking up some garbage and I wanted to see this. And it's like, "Oh my god, where'd you get that?" In the garbage. I'll give you $100. I could get more than that, or $50. I could get more than that on eBay. Fine, 100. And Miss Brandt throwing a bar of soap. It's like, what the fuck? The power of the press
According
triumphs.
to the novelization, the garbage man is supposed to be the Submariner.
No shit. That was supposed to be Namor, huh?
Yeah.
Would have been a better Namor than the one that we got in Black Panther 2.
Yeah, that was basically Kotal Khan.
Yeah. It's just absolute trash, that movie. But this one, I like in the extended edition, folks, where J.K. Simmons puts on the suit and he's doing he's playing in his office and flipping around, pretending to spin webs. Robbie, Hoffman, and Betty are looking through the slats at him and laughing their asses off, but they also hide before he looks at them because he's like looking around like, is anybody seeing me? It's just hilarious. So it's like, it's like he's a closeted fan of Spider-Man, but he outwardly hates him. It was that was one of the stupid ladybug just tried flying him in the face. But yeah, that scene was freaking hilarious. And then we get the whole thing where Peter Parker is no longer Spider-Man. He's able to catch up on his work. He's ignoring the police driving down. Police are driving down the street, and he's like, just bites a freaking hot dog, and I'm like, wow, dude, you really have sunk. But then he's finally able to make some time with Mary Jane, see her play, and she argues with him because he's like, you ever think about picking up where we left off? We never got on. You can't go on with something without getting on, you know? And I mean, that's just even more heartbreaking. And then you also see that Harry's kind of pissed off because Spider-Man hasn't shown up. Also, there's the fire that Peter Parker goes into and is able to save somebody, but unfortunately, because Spider-Man wasn't the one saving lives, they actually show the fallout or the consequences. Some poor guy on like the third floor or something, they didn't make it.
And the crime rate increased.
Yeah, the crime rate just skyrockets, and it's like underneath, where is Spider-Man? And then you get the little fan woman plucking her strings. Where are you, Spider-Man? I'm like, I am not going to do that impression. I could, but I won't. I need to be high in order to do that. I might get high later, but So I like how they have the crime rate. It jumps up to 75%. I'm like, what the frick? When the cops are, or when Spider-Man's there and the crime rate's so far down, did the cops just like forget to do their jobs? If you're going up to a crime rate of 75%, what the frig, man? And then we get the devilish deal between Pete or
Harry and
God damn it.
Doc Ock.
Yeah, Harry and Doc Ock. Sorry, I blanked on their names. And he wants that precious tritium. And he only had like a drop of it, like about this much, folks. And then he gets a big one like this big, but he has to get he has to kill Spider-Man or bring Spider-Man to him. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I find him? Peter Parker. He takes pictures of Spider-Man for the Bugle. Fun fact, Phil Lamar, Samurai Jack himself, was one of the passengers that helped Spider-Man in the subway train when Peter Parker, or when Peter was about to fall off the stop of the train. Yep.
That's what I told him.
Yeah, that was, or he said that before, the Man of 1,000 Voices. Yep. And that was back when Phil Lamar was actually a respectable guy, because nowadays when people are pointing out the whole, well, Phil Lamar has done multiple different races of voices. Well, I want you all to keep my voice or my name out of your effing mouths. It's like, sorry, but it's true. Hypocrisy doesn't hide because of law or because of truth being inconvenient.
That's why I do independent work.
Yeah. So we do get to Mary Jane is sending out invitations, and she kisses J. Jonah Jameson's kid or son, and she realizes she doesn't love him. There's no spark there. So she calls Peter back, and they're at the or he's now starting to get the strong focus of what he wants. He wants to be Spider-Man again, because he's realizing that he needs to be Spider-Man, because also he or before that, I skipped over this. I'm sorry, folks. I skipped over it because I forgot it. He came clean to Aunt May about the truth behind Uncle Ben's death, where he had an argument with his uncle, and he ended up leaving his or doing something totally different, and the guy that robbed him shot him, and Aunt May just left him at the table. She did not know how to handle it, so she left him at it, and he comes by later because Aunt May gives him the kick in the butt that he needs to get back into the saddle of Spider-Man, where there's a hero in all of us, and I believe that Henry needs Spider-Man. A lot of people need him because he inspires hope in everybody. You know, kind of like Superman, folks. But so he finally tries doing the "I'm back" kind of scene. And it's like, oh, I'm back goes to my back. And when he hits, or when he falls and drops, I'm like, ouch. Like, seriously, ouch. Because I've had a back problem happen like that, where I hit my lower back, and just even the slightest twinge is enough to basically be like an electric shock. And it's like, okay, don't want to do that again. What did you think of the whole "I'm back, my back" scene?
It was great.
Yeah, where he's just, I'm back, and then it's like, oh crap, and he falls. And I just love how he smacks it, and then just kind of just a slightly delayed bounce when he jumps backward to, or when the camera rolls and he just jumps backward to fall the rest of the way. I'm like, that was just a slight bad cut, but it works. So then we get to the scene where him and Mary Jane are at the diner, and he's already trying to commit back to being Spider-Man, and he doesn't want to get her in danger. So it's like, shit. And she's like, kiss me. What? Kiss me. Just one kiss. I need to know something. Because women know. I mean, she already knew that he was Spider-Man. Deep down, she knew because of the first kiss in the first movie, at the end of the movie. And it's like, son of a bitch, it breaks her heart, but she also realizes that the kiss was very similar. But he starts getting his spider sense back, and well, yikes. We get Doc Ock and the Threat and Mary Jane, and he's like, if you lay one finger on her, you'll do what? And then he just throws him. So what was your scene or take on the diner scene and the kidnapping of Mary Jane to bring him back into the fold of as Spider-Man?
It was amazing with the progress, and I liked the visual effects.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the things I liked was when he busts out and then he comes back out and his glasses are blurring his vision and he drops the glasses again. And it's like, okay, he's back, but is he going to be able to handle this? So the train fight, what was your entire take on the train fight going into this?
Well, it was one of the best choreographed scenes in a superhero film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Explain.
Because I just like how well shot it is, and the attention to detail, and that Spider-Man was able to use the webs, and he can keep holding on to them. And some of his outfit got torn, and he lost his mask.
Mm-hmm.
Then he got so tired, and the people of New York tell him that we won't tell anyone about your identity.
Yep. And that is one of the best. Honestly, that is actually one of the best superhero moments in cinema. You're absolutely right about that, because this is a hero that has to save several people because Doc Ock's just tossing people willy-nilly, and he has to get them all set up and safe before he stops the train. And the amount of, or what people don't realize is that Spider-Man is no joke, one of the strongest characters in Marvel.
I hope this film gets preserved in the National Film Registry by December.
Oh, I'm hoping that it does too, because honestly, it needs to be. For a small idea of why I say that, folks, looking at movies like Avengers Infinity War, his body was what was keeping him alive for those last few seconds before he died in front of Tony Stark. His body was warning him, and just imagine your sense or your spider senses going off to a threat that you can't stop, and the amount of fear that is in there. But Tom Holland played that scene pretty well. But in this one, you have a person who is literally stopping a train and racking your body to the point where your muscles strain. Your entire body is doing everything it can to stop this thing and killing a lot of innocent people in the process. So that is just, or the face that he makes is, or where his lip just curls in. I'm like, yikes. It's almost comical in a way to see his face like that, but also it's a very good scene to show just the strain that he is under. I wonder if Tobey Maguire has ever actually been in a situation where he has or where that kind of strain was required. I mean, that always has made me wonder. And then we do get everybody sending him in or carrying him in, the nice little hero procession. And they all stand up for him. Then Doc Ock's like, he's mine. You want him, you're going to have to go through me. And me, and me, and me. Me too. Very well. I just love how Doc Ock just slams them all aside. And it's like, I'm not kidding, folks. Get the heck out of my way. And Spider-Man comes in, and he's like, just, all right, fine, I'll take him on. And So then we get the reveal to Harry. And I love this. Harry pulls off the mask, ready to stab him, and he's like, Pete, holy shit, what the fuck? I mean, that kind of shock to know that your best friend is the person that you perceive as responsible for killing your father. That the one person you want dead more than anything is your best friend. What goes through your mind if you are ever put through that situation, you know? What did you think of the reveal?
Well, it was well executed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, also when he gets up and he's like, just rips out of the. I mean, he doesn't hide it. Yeah, he doesn't hide it. Train fight is top tier. Yep, Neozal agrees with you. And yes, it is weird that both Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and the Dark Knight trilogy is kind of similar to each other. First is good, second is best, and third is the weakest and most hated by. Yeah, that is true. I mean,
that's an interesting coincidence.
Yeah, the third one is good. I just don't like how they did Venom. Venom was done dirty in that by putting Topher Grace as Eddie Brock. Also, Venom's not a screecher. He's a guttural growler and roar kind of or kind of symbiote. So, symbiote. Yeah.
And also, that screeching works better for Carnage.
Yeah, that's what I said when I first saw this movie. It's like, why are we seeing Carnage in a black symbiote? Because this is pure, or he's acting more like Carnage than Venom, really. The screeching, which is actually a Tasmanian devil, for those of you who know your animals. Also, it's other animals too, or a mix of other animals. But the Tasmanian devil is its core sound. The Venom movie that is Tom, whatchamacallit's Venom?
Tom Hardy?
Yeah, that's a better version of Venom. Because honestly, that's the kind of thing you needed with the guttural voice and the roaring, not the screeching thing that they did in Sam Raimi's movie, or it could have been a lot better. However, that was due to a lot of studio interference. Thanks, Avi Arad, for that. Because Avi Arad was the one who screwed that movie up completely. So, getting back to this, they have to go to, or you see or before Spider-Man gets back, he had to steal the suit from, I do like that scene too. Because you got J. Jonah Jameson finally admitting, sorry, it's out of sequence again, folks. But J. Jonah Jameson is like, no word on your son or on your son's missing fiance, Jonah. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I drove Spider-Man away. And he was the only one who could have stopped Octavius. Yes. It's like, you had to rub it in? Yes. I just did. Spider-Man was a hero. I just couldn't see it. He was a thief.
A criminal.
He stole my suit.
Spider-Man.
Yep. And
he's
like,
back.
I love it. It's like, thanks, dude. And I love the bloopers to that, because when he tried saying a thief for the first time, his teeth came out. It's like, oh shit. And J.K. Simmons, folks, just like Alfred Molina is Doc Ock, J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson. I mean,
he even voiced J. Jonah Jameson in a lot of cartoons.
He could too, yeah.
And he even voiced the same character in a few episodes of The Simpsons.
Wow, nice. I mean, J.K. Simmons, or one of my favorite portrayals for J.K. Simmons is is the agent, or the Treasury agent in The Accountant, Ray King. That's a movie I think you might like, Christian, is The Accountant with Ben Affleck.
I have the Blu-ray of it.
It's a great movie. But getting back into Spider-Man 2, we get the final fight with Doc Ock and how Mary Jane is kidnapped. And I love it. She's like, hey, hey! Has to whistle and is like, you have what you need for your little science project. Now let me out of here. Like, I'd let you go. You'd go to the police. I mean, you get smart characters in these films when they're done by Sam Raimi. You really do. And then we get the fight between Doc Ock and Spider-Man. And this thing is much bigger. And plus the size of Tritium, like I said, okay, so basically size of the Tritium is about the size of this thing here. This little, it was a top to a handle that I haven't yet thrown away. Well, then well, shit, I don't have anything for a size comparison. The size of the tritium that is used for this one is like this big. About the size of a softball, a little bit bigger. And so this creates a veritable sun, power of the sun in the palm of my hand kind of thing, in this containment field, and it also creates another spike. Well, so once it becomes self-sustaining, it becomes a greater threat because it now has a magnetic field that is pulling the city apart. And I do like the redemption of Doc Ock in this, because Peter has to basically unmask himself to show him who he is. He's like, Peter Parker, brilliant but lazy. Okay. Now he understands why he's brilliant but lazy, because he's moonlighting as a superhero. And he tells him, sometimes we have to stay, or he gives the same line that Aunt May said to him. Sometimes we have to stay steady and give up our dreams for the better, or to do what's right. And knowledge is not a gift, it's a privilege. And he uses those very words that Otto told him earlier. It's a privilege. And so he takes control, or I like how he is able to take control of the tentacles. How did you, or what was your thoughts on of Doc Ock's redemption?
Well, it was amazing. Greatly executed.
Yeah. And I do like how the tentacles are protesting to him. You don't understand what they're saying, but you can basically imagine what they're saying. It's like, don't listen to him, but it's like, listen to me now. And he ends up getting control over him, which is pretty cool, because in No Way Home, it's just before he manages to wrest control from those or of the tentacles. Like, this is the moment, or a lot of people don't realize this, but in No Way Home, Doc Ock was taken straight from the harbor. He was pulled out of the harbor just as that thing was happening, just right before Spider-Man, actually, he was pulled straight from the from the harbor. However, he did look different with the sunglasses and whatnot, because he said, I had Spider-Man right in my grasp, and I was had my machine and whatnot. And it's like, holy crap, he pulled him, or this must have happened straight from the harbor, because he hadn't wrested control of the tentacles yet. So he then, or you see the reveal of MJ seeing him unmasked, and it's like, well, can't hide it now, bub. And they did a really good job at the trailer for Spider-Man 2. When you see him screaming no, you're wondering, what is this bad thing that's about to happen, you know? Topic, did you consider No Way Home an unofficial Spider-Man 4 and Amazing Spider-Man 3, or doesn't count? I'm just curious. I'd say it's a nice prelude. I'd say it's a nice prelude or prequelish to those movies, if they ever made them. What are your thoughts? Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree.
Mm-hmm. And so we then get Dr. Octopus destroying his machine, drowning it in the river. Interesting that they have like a miniature sun being in the Hudson River. So explain that, folks. But yeah, and it results in the death of Doc Ock. So that's 2 Spider-Man villains dead. It's good that Doc Ock's redemption happened, and then we get him admitting his love for Mary Jane and surviving. And one of the things that I felt would be the most weirdest feeling in the world was sliding Mary Jane down as your webbing is just coming out of you, so that she's slowly being slid down. And it's like, that's gotta feel weird on the wrist. It's gotta be like a constant tickle because it's a sustained web at the time. And then you get her fiance shows up with the police, and while she's hugging her fiance is just nuzzling into her neck and just basically trying to make out with her. I'm like, yeah, dude, she's completely checked out from you. And you see Spider-Man do his one last look and then swing on away. And we get the wedding and the runaway bride.
Well,
what did you
forget Harry Osborn seeing visions of his father?
That too. All right, I forgot about that. Yeah, the return of Norman Osborn. That scene I do like because we get Harry. He now knows who Spider-Man is, and you hear the door open and you hear the cackling. You know exactly who it is, and it's like, how the heck is he back? But you know that he's alive in his son, and he's like, you're weak, and you'll always be weak until you take control. Well, then he throws
avenge me!
Yep, he throws the knife into the mirror, which, okay, there's a secret room. One thing you notice if you go slow with that scene with the mirror breaking or in front of Willem Dafoe is he actually flinches away from the mirror breaking. You see his reflection flinch. But then you see there's spare parts, there's pumpkin bombs, and there's the serum. So it's like, oh shit, we know where this is going. And honestly, I thought James Franco did that scene very well. As did Willem Dafoe, because Willem Dafoe came back for that scene. Then we get the runaway bride, and I love how the note comes up to him, and you see J. Jonah Jameson call Deborah the caterer, tell her not to open the caviar. Because he's thinking about it in an entirely financial way. He's like, if they don't open the caviar, we don't get charged for the caviar. Caviar is expensive, like $800 a freaking bite. So you see Kirsten Dunst freaking face lit up with a brilliant smile running through a park. And I'm like, how much did that wedding dress cost that she ran in heels uptown to where Peter lives? That has gotta murder the feet. What'd you think of that? What'd you think of the final scene before or where she finally caves in and goes to Peter?
It was good.
Yep.
A lot of this movie is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is a Spider-Man film. But yeah, Orange Man Christian, by the way, I know Harry became Green Goblin in the comic, but did you prefer or wish that Harry became Raimi's take on Hobgoblin or stick with Green Goblin? I'm just curious. Hobgoblin is a completely different character from Green Goblin. So I like how they stuck with the Green Goblin version.
And it makes more sense, with him doing what his father did.
Yeah. And also, Neozoic, I like people who ask questions in the chat. I like actually interacting with the chat, so don't worry about asking too many questions. I'll let you know if you get too overboard. But right now I'm a small channel, so it's not really that big of a strain on me. And so she gives the very famous line, "Go get him, Tiger," because she accepts at that moment that he does have a life. And I do like also the line, "Isn't it time that somebody saved you for a change?" And it really is beautifully delivered. But you also see that when he's swinging off and it cuts back to her, you see that there is going to be a future in where she does worry and is unsure if she made the right decision, because she does have that look on her face that's going to be, now I have to worry about him going out and coming back and whatnot, because we all see that in the third movie he goes complete egomaniac. And honestly, that's why I didn't like it, because yes, he goes egomaniac, but the symbiote, or he already did that, he already relished in the power and whatnot. So that's the end of the film. How would you rate this film out of 10?
10.
10 out of 10. And me with I do 3-tier reviews: objective, subjective, and moviegoer. Objectively, I would say this film is about a 9. There are parts to it that have slightly sloppy writing. The digital effects are great, but they didn't age well. You'd actually have to, or if you watch it in high def, you realize that some of the effects are not as up to par as effects can be. However, the practical effects do give this movie a higher score, plus the direction, the acting, the actors. It's a very high quality film. Moviegoer, where I do not deconstruct, I base it solely on entertainment value and whatnot, it's a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, folks, that's gonna wind down this guest choice review. Christian, thank you so much for coming on and wanting to discuss. Anything else you want to add before we get going?
No comment.
All right. Thank you, folks, so much. In the coming weeks, I'm going to be doing my Life of Kratos live stream. Oh, and he took off. Okay, well, didn't expect that, but I'm going to be doing my Life of Kratos live stream in the coming weeks. I haven't had it planned yet, but I do have it planned, like I did with the Metal Gear Solid stream. I am also going to be doing my birthday stream coming up on the 1st. Many people are going to be invited. It's going to be a revolving door of people coming in. That's going to be on the 1st of February at 9 p.m. I got my mystery review coming up next week on Tuesday morning. The hint is it is a Liam Neeson movie, and it's one of the ones that's within the last few years. So if you can guess it, awesome. Thank you to Neozoic, Cassie, Jet Sparks, Riot Kitty, Geek Detective, Austinator, Cayman Rider, and Vanja, and Junebug, Alex versus Evil. Who else? Canoli Sasquatch, thank you for coming in. And who else? Ruben Thomas, thank you for coming in. Prismatics and Jason, thank you guys for coming in. And before you leave, make sure that you smash that like. And if you're catching this on the replay, let me know in the comment section what you all liked about this film. Did you like it? What were your thoughts on the different or on the extended edition and such. Take care, Orange and Christian, everybody in the chat. Have a good day, good luck, and peace out. Take it easy, Neil. And yep, have a wonderful day, folks. This has been Orange Hat Reviews. And thank you again to Christian, who took off too quickly. It's okay, bud. Have a wonderful day, folks. And always remember, stay humble.